Hello guys and welcome to my channel. My name is Kiki and it is time to make crafting fun. DIY number 1. We're gonna take 2 wood rounds like this ones that you see here. I got them at Amazon and they are really thin. That's why I'm using 2. And I'm gonna take Gorilla wood glue, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna struggle to get some of that glue out, and after I just finish with that, I poured a lot of that glue. Put them together. Use the clamps that you can find at Dollar Tree, and what I'm doing is I'm just clamping them together so I can let them dry. Now I'm gonna take this seagrass that I got from Amazon, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna start gluing it with Gorilla Glue sticks around our circle. And as you can see, I'm just bending that seagrass so I can glue it in the middle like this. And then I'm gonna remove all of that thingies and then I'm gonna continue just rolling it on itself, and you will see a little bit of that here. I'm adding hot glue, and then I'm just pressing it down so it looks beautiful and flat. And I'm gonna continue just rolling that on itself like this until I have covered all of my wooden circle. Just like that. Lots of hot glue. Stick it really nicely, hold it on it until it dries, that's important, and just keep on rolling it until you cover all of that circle. And now that you can see, we are just finishing the circle and adding hot glue and rolling it on itself. This was a little bit of a repetitive process, so I just show you the beginning and the end of that. Now I'm just gluing it to itself and cutting the excess over here, adding a little bit of hot glue over here and in the corner. So we have that secured, and we're gonna move on to the next part, and that one is just making the handles. And now I'm gonna glue the excess over here, and then I'm gonna get my handles or get my seagrass and cut some handles for it like this. And then I'm gonna flip it over and start gluing them. Don't worry about them just being glued because we're gonna do something else to the bottom of this tray. For now, we're gonna glue them like this. Hold them down until they are really stuck to our wood round. Add a clamp, and now we're gonna glue the other one like we did with the first one, just like that. We glue the other one, and then we're gonna add something else after our clamps. And we're gonna take another wood round and we're gonna glue that to the bottom so we can secure those handles. And I'm using the Gorilla wood glue because this one is just for covering that up and make it look cute. Now I'm gonna use the clamps to make sure it is really glued together. And when it is dry, we're gonna take that off. And we're gonna start attaching our seagrass to the border. And I started with the seagrass over here, but then after that I added a little bit of wood because I wanted it to show. In the end of the video you will see it. But I just wrapped that seagrass all around it by adding hot glue like that, flipping over or to the top our handles and adding more hot glue and just gluing them down like that. That will cover all the imperfections and make this a really sturdy and beautiful tray. So we continue just gluing that down. If you have more seagrass than I did, you can give it 2 rows of that seagrass, but I didn't have enough, so I had to improvise. And what I did is I added a little bit of wood on the bottom and it looked beautiful. Now I'm cutting the excess, just gluing it down like this. And after I do that, I just realized that it needed a little bit extra. And here you can see the inspo from Ballard Designs and mine. And now you can see it together with the decor that I added. I'm in love with this tray. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this one because I'm loving it. DIY number 2. To make our beautiful window, we're gonna use Gorilla wood glue, a frame from a canvas, and this pink dowel. It said red on Walmart, but I see that as the pink. And we're gonna cut one long and two for the sides. That will depend on the frame that you have. I'm gonna apply some Gorilla wood glue over there and just put it in the middle and use the sides to center it. Then I'm gonna take one of the sides and I'm gonna apply the Gorilla wood glue. I'm gonna say hot glue, I don't know why. But we're gonna apply that wood glue and we're gonna set them and let them dry. After they are dried, we're gonna take antique wax, and with that antique wax, we are gonna paint all of our frame like I'm doing here, all of it, all around, everywhere. And after that, we're gonna let it dry really nicely. But let me show you first how it looks when it's completely done. Now, let it dry and then come back with Ivory from Waverly. And we're gonna give it a good dry brush all around our frame. And my camera moved, and now you can see that I'm just watching some YouTube while I'm crafting. So I'm gonna paint it, and then when I give that beautiful dry brush effect that I want a little bit heavier than you're seeing here, so we're gonna continue applying more of that ivory all around. And as you can see, we're painting the front, the sides of it, and the insides of our dowels. Now, we let it dry a little bit more after we're done, of course. After we're done with the dry brushing, we're gonna let it dry. And then we're gonna move on while it's drying to the wreath. And I'm using this wreath that I had, and I'm using agave from Waverly. And that wreath, you can find it at Walmart. Then I'm gonna paint that wreath completely with the beautiful turquoise kind of color that agave is. I don't know if I'm inventing words or something, but hold on and bear with me. Because that's what I do here. So we're gonna paint it completely like you can see me doing here. And then we let it dry. And we come back with celery and this color that it is scallion from Waverly. First, I'm gonna do a dry brush effect on my wreath. As you can see here, it's a little bit of a heavy dry brush with the celery. This will make the wreath look beautiful, and you can stop here if you want, but you know me, I love extra. So I'm gonna continue doing that dry brush and let it dry just a little bit, not completely, so I can move on to the other thingy that we're gonna do. And for that, I'm just cutting a piece of sponge like you see here, and I'm taking the scallion color, and what I'm doing is I'm just painting the borders of the longer leaves. Just like that, we're gonna paint those borders and blend our paints. And look what a beautiful effect it's giving to our wreath. It just makes it look so beautiful. Okay, I'm in love with this piece. So we're gonna continue painting those borders until we cover all of them. And then we're gonna move on to the inside of our wreath. And we're gonna do the same with all of those leaves on the inside. Just like that, so beautiful. Now we're gonna take it and we're gonna glue it to the window using hot glue. And what I did is I just lift the wreath and that's it. And this is how the beautiful window with wreath turned out. Look at that, that wreath turned out so beautiful.
If you like modern farmhouse boho decor and lots of silly jokes, that's what I do here, so subscribe and click on the bell so you can get notified every time I upload a new video. Also, hit the thumbs up if you like this one and share this video with a friend because that really helps to support my channel. Here's my social media, go and check me out.
DIY number 3. Now to make our windmill, we're gonna use this one that I got from Dollar Tree from my beautiful friend Lini. And I'm gonna remove the centerpiece that it has. It's not a centerpiece because it's not floral, but the piece that it has in the middle. Now I'm trying to remove the back part, and I'm gonna tell you this is not So easy, but you can do it. Just pinch the center like this, really nicely, so you can pull it really slowly out of that windmill. Like this. You're just gonna keep on doing it until you get it out. Now I'm gonna remove the tag, and I tried to remove that part to use it, but it wasn't working. So we're gonna move on to the painting part of this project. Yeah, you're gonna see me struggle first. So yeah, I struggled with that piece a little bit more. And then I'm gonna bring my Rust-Oleum silver and I'm gonna paint them, let them dry, and come back with elephant, burnt umber, and white to make a beautiful galvanized effect on our windmill. The first thing I did, I took a sponge and I started sponging that elephant paint on my windmill like you see me here. And then I'm gonna take the center and do the same. Then I'm gonna take white and we're gonna sponge that one also on top of the gray. Like that. And we're gonna continue moving on and painting up that beautiful, beautiful windmill. Because when you give it a good galvanized look, it looks perfect. So high-end, so beautiful. So we're gonna continue mixing our gray and our white like that to blend it just like makeup, you know. I always say that painting is like makeup. So we're gonna do the same on the center. And then we're gonna take the burnt umber and we're gonna grab that burnt umber to give it a little bit of rust to the borders of the windmill. And I'm just rusting one of the sides and the top part like that. And as you can see, I'm just blending that paint with the paints that I just added. Just like that, we keep on blending, blending, blending. And this sponge is like the blender for the makeup. So we're gonna continue painting and blending so we can get that beautiful rusted look, that it looks beautiful on the windmill. And as you can see, I'm painting the sides like that metal ring that it has with the rust color or burnt umber. And we're gonna continue doing that, and now I'm just giving a little bit more shadow effect with the paint without blending to the corners, and I'm gonna do the same to the middle with the blending technique. And I'm gonna grab the center and do the same to the borders. Just like that. Then we're gonna let it dry. And while this is drying, we're gonna work on the base, and I'm using a piece of wood. You can use anything you have. And I'm gonna add 2 square dowels, the smaller ones that come in the package of Walmart that has lots of sizes of dowels. And we're gonna glue them together so they meet in the top. And then we're gonna glue that top together, and I'm bringing some skewers, and we're gonna do some kind of steps, something like that. You're gonna see it now. We're gonna cut them and insert them in the middle of those 2 dowels. Let me show you again. We cut it, we add hot glue, and we just center it in the middle. Then we remove the glue strings, and that one didn't want it to glue. So I added more hot glue, and I'm gonna continue doing my steps with the skewers. Now we're gonna do cross one like a dash. After we finish with this, we're gonna do a dash in between our steps. Let me show you. We cut it, we hot glue it, and we glue it over there. Now we're gonna repeat that with all of our steps, just like that. We glue it, and that's it. Then we do the final one. And what we're gonna do after we finish with this, we're gonna flip over our piece so we can add the other dash. I don't know if that's a word, but the other cross thingy. And that way you will have a better grip on that glue. And this is how it's looking. Now I'm gonna take some antique wax and we're gonna paint it completely. Front, back, sides, everything. You have to paint everything because you can see everything on this piece. So go ahead, have some fun, start painting it until you have completely covered that beautiful piece. And then we paint the bottom so it matches our ladder. It's not a ladder. Now we're gonna add our windmill to the top, and this is what brings that ladder to a windmill. And then after we glue that, we glue the center. This is how the beautiful windmill turned out. Look at that. I'm so in love with this piece. It's so farmhousey beautiful. DIY number 4. Let's make a cute floral arrangement out of those vitamin bottles and some copper paint and this old crate that it's broken. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna fix that crate by adding a little bit of hot glue. You will find where I made this crate in the cards above. Now that we fixed it, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna paint those borders in black. And I'm using just acrylic paint and a sponge brush. And we're gonna paint it really nicely just like this. So we can use this crate to put those vitamin bottles that we painted in copper. Let's paint it really nicely, let it dry, and while that's drying, here we have those bottles, and I'm gonna add some twine in the top just by wrapping it around a little bit of hot glue. Wrap it around really nicely just like this, all around the top of my bottle, and don't worry about that texture that you see in the bottle because we're not gonna see that when it's in the crate. So we continue just wrapping it around really nicely. And then we add a little bit of hot glue over there to secure it. And that's it. We're going to repeat that to the other bottle. And after we have both of them, they look like this. And we're going to put them right there like that. Then we're going to do the other one and put it over there too. And here we have them. They are looking so cute. And now I'm taking some boxwood from Walmart. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those picks apart. And I'm going to add them to the bottles to make a beautiful arrangement, a boxwood arrangement. And I think this looks beautiful. Let me show you a little bit better. And here we have them. This is how they turned out. I'm so in love with them. As you can see, you can't see the texture on the bottles, but they look beautiful. DIY number 5. For our second project, we're going to use the same blocks and the antique wax that we stained. And we're going to start just making beautiful candle holders. I'm using my ruler. And as you can see, we're going to recreate that. And for that, we're going to use 6 blocks from these ones. And we're going to make a line of those. Just like this. I'm missing one. Yes, I can count. No, I have my 6 over there. Now we're gonna start gluing them like this. And I just said that I can count. You see that? We're gonna glue them together and continue gluing them until we have a beautiful line, straight line. That's why we're using our ruler. And after that, we will have the other 4 or 3 that we need. We need 4 in total. Now I'm just cleaning those glue strings and we're going to start assembling our candle holder. And just like this, we're going to start gluing them like that using Gorilla Glue sticks because you know me, I love them. And now I'm going to add the last one on the middle like that. Just adding a little bit of hot glue over here. And as you can see, we crafters make mistakes. I'm going to remove that glue that I added where it doesn't belong. And then I'm just going to add 3 blocks or glue 3 blocks together and add that to the top of my candle holder. And as you can see, we can add one more just to close that opening. I just added that one and that's it. We add the candle holder and we have a beautiful candle holder. Now let's make a bigger one. And for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue those blocks together. We have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blocks. Yeah, I had to count them because I just mistake 5, 4, 6. And now we are just gonna start gluing them together. Yeah, I know how to count if I count them. But now we're gonna start gluing them together or assembling our candle holder. And as you can see, it's pretty easy. I'm just gluing them together like that. Then we're gonna flip it over and add our 4 blocks to the top. And with that, we will have a beautiful set of candle holders. Let me just glue it over here like this. And then I will scrape all of that excess glue and we will have a beautiful set. Let me show you. Here we have it. Now we glue that to the top. And I'm going to remove the label because labels and glue won't stick. And now I'm just going to glue it like this. And then I'm going to take the smaller one and I'm going to glue the other candle holder to that one. Just by adding a little bit of hot glue, you can add some E6000 or something like that, a stronger glue if you want a better hold. And now let me show you these beauties. I'm in love with them. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this beautiful set because I'm loving it.
DIY number 6.
What can we make out of this basket? Let me think. Okay, let me take some dowels like this ones, and as you can see, I have some that are taller and some that are shorter, and all of them are cut in a 22 degree angle. And now what I'm doing is I'm gluing the longer ones in the back and the shorter ones in the front, like this. Then we're gonna bring those popsicle sticks, and those are the super jumbo that Walmart sells. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lay them like this, and I'm gonna cut 2 pieces so I can glue them together. Let me show you. I'm just making sure they are squared. And then I'm gonna glue those pieces to the corners like this. Now we're gonna flip it over, check it out to see that it fit and all of that is looking good. And I'm bringing the jumbo popsicle sticks from Walmart, and what I'm doing is I'm measuring how many I need so I can cut them in half like this. Then we're gonna start gluing them to that piece that we just made. And for that I'm doing using hot glue, and I'm gluing them to that piece. Just like that, we are gonna glue all of them until we cover all that piece to the end. Then when we finish with that, we're gonna take the other ones or the other halves and we're gonna glue them on top of these ones like this. Now I'm gonna take more of those and I'm gonna cut them like this so we can add a 3rd layer to that beautiful roof. It's looking like a roof, right? And we're gonna continue gluing them like this all around or all over it. And until we finish with that, then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take off all of those glue strings, cut the excess, measure it so we are sure that we have enough space. And then I'm gonna bring these caps that I have from Walmart, and we're gonna glue that to the bottom of that basket like this. Then I'm using these 2 caps from a vitamin, and I'm gonna paint them in gloss black. Now I'm gonna add a little bit of hot glue over here, and we're gonna glue those like that and let them glue because I did it, because you know me, I never let anything dry. So we're gonna glue them like this, and we're gonna add this floral foam, and we're gonna use these flowers to dress it up. Now we're gonna start playing around, and you know me, I love to play with flowers. So I'm gonna play around with my floral like this until we make a beautiful floral arrangement. And as you can see, I haven't added the roof to that crate because we want to show you the beauty of the flowers. So we're gonna continue arranging our flowers, and as you can see, I'm using white and I'm using this beautiful colors. And after we finish with that, we're gonna start adding those white thingies that I can't remember their name. Because I'm reusing old floral from my stash. Those are the white thingies that I can't remember, but they are white, so cute and bubbly. Just like me. I'm bubbly too. So we're gonna continue adding that to our arrangement like this. And we're gonna cut the excess and play around. As I have always told you, you just have to play around with your floral. Now I added everything, and I'm gonna add to that beautiful basket the flowers grow through dirt plaque, and I'm so in love with this. It looks perfect. Now I'm gonna make a bow that I removed later because I wasn't happy it was covering my plaque, but I'm showing you how I made it. Now we're gonna make it, and then we're gonna glue that in that hole, but I decided not to because I want the flowers grow through dirt to show it has special meaning to me. So we glue that, we add it there. You see, it's covering it, so it won't go there. And that will be it. We add the roof, and after that we have a beautiful flower cart. And this is how the flowers grow through dirt. Beautiful flower cart turned out. Look at that. I'm so in love with this.
DIY number 7.
Project, we're gonna take 2 stir sticks without the handle, and we're gonna glue them together like this. Then we are gonna take these letters that I made out of foam board, and we're gonna paint it in blue, in that Waverly color that I showed you, and that one is hazelnut, and the cameo pink. First one we're gonna paint is the blue one, then we're gonna paint the pink one, and after that I'm gonna paint the brown one. Then what we're gonna do with that hazelnut, paint that, and then paint with mineral that tag. Now I'm gonna give it a good dry brush all around those letters because we want to recreate. One thing that I saw on Kirkland's, I think it was on Kirkland's, and it looked beautiful. Now let's galvanize this, and you have seen me do this lots of times, but I'm gonna leave you in the cards above a link to a galvanized look tutorial so I can explain it a little bit better. Now we're gonna take moss for this O, and we're gonna cover this O completely with that Spanish moss. Just like that, a little bit of hot glue here and there, and we're gonna add lots of that moss because we're gonna trim it a little later. Then we're gonna take this piece of sturdy burlap, and we're gonna cut 2 cute ears like this ones. And now we're gonna measure those burlap ears, and then we're gonna take some of that burnt umber, and we're gonna paint the borders like this of those beautiful ears. And those are the cute bunny ears we're gonna put on that moss O. Then we're gonna let it dry after we finish, and we're gonna attach those beautiful ears to our moss. But first, we're gonna take the burnt umber, and we are gonna paint the borders of the tag like this, really nicely. We're gonna paint those borders using that burnt umber. And as I told you, I saw this inspiration on Kirkland's, and I wanted to recreate it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make it our own, because sometimes we can't find the right supplies on the craft store. And I couldn't find that was a grapevine wreath, I think, for the O. So I made them out of poster board, and I'm gonna use this tag that I found at Walmart. So we can add that hippity thingy on the top. You would see why this is my first project in a little while. So we're gonna continue painting those borders, then we're gonna let them dry really nicely. After we paint them like this, we let that dry, and we take the black Waverly, no, that's apple barrel, and we're gonna write in this tag hippity. Yes, we're gonna write hippity on the tag like this. Then we're gonna come back, and we're gonna glue those ears to the moss O. For that, I'm using a little bit of hot glue. Then I'm gluing it like this, And then I'm gonna grab some of this lavender from Walmart. Let me show you. And we're gonna start gluing lavender all around that moss, like this. And we're gonna continue adding that lavender until we cover all of that wreath. Or, oh. So we're gonna continue adding those like that. And you can see it's looking beautiful. It's gonna look beautiful with the blue H and the pink P. Now I'm gonna make a bow out of this old piece of burlap ribbon like that. Now I'm gonna tie it in the middle, and that's my glue gun bow. So we're gonna tie it really nicely and sturdy. Then we cut the excess twine like this, and then we're gonna come back with the hippity tag, and we're gonna remove that label. I forgot. And we're gonna add a little piece of twine like we did with the bow. Then we're gonna cut the excess, and we're gonna glue the hippity on the wreath like this. Then we're gonna glue the twine on the top of the ear, and then we're gonna put the beautiful bow over there. Now we're gonna assemble this, and we're gonna start with the O. Then we're gonna add the H to the side, and then we're gonna add the P, and we're using the stir sticks for that. And look at this. This is looking so beautiful. The camera isn't making it any justice. I'm so in love with this piece, and it's a hot piece. DIY number 8. Hello guys, my name is Kiki, and it's time to make crafting fun. Let's make some spring decor, and I'm using those frames from the dollar store and some copper paint to paint it. Now we're gonna take this bunnies and eggs from Dollar Tree, and I'm just removing one of each. I'm gonna add some wood filler to that hole over there. And then after I cover those, I'm gonna let them dry really nicely. And I'm gonna sand them. Let me just show you. Now they are dry, and we are gonna sand those with a 120 grit sandpaper like that until we have a flat surface. Then we're gonna take black paint, and we're gonna paint them black. I know it's not too springy, but you will see. I know black it's not springy, but this looks beautiful. So bear with me. So we're gonna paint them black, the bunny and the egg, and let them dry. And now we have the frames painted, and they are looking beautiful. And we're gonna add these letters, and I just spelled bunny on the one and eggs in the other one. And I'm just gonna show you the bunny one, because the egg one we're gonna do exactly the same thing. So we have that, and now I'm bringing the back, and I'm gonna cut some of that cork to cover that backing of the frame. What I'm doing is adding a little bit of hot glue and just going around and gluing that cork to that piece of cardboard. Just like that. Then we're gonna cut the excess. When we have all of it glued, like this, we just cut all that excess, and then we're gonna attach our backing to our frame. But let me try the bunny first. Isn't that cute? You see, it's springy. Now we're gonna add some of that hot glue, glue the backing, glue our bunny, like this. And now let's add the twine cuteness to it. I'm just doing a cute bow out of that twine. I'm gonna cut the excess, wrap it around like this. And wrap it again so we can make a cute sturdy bow. Cut the excess like this. Measure it, cut the leggies, because you know me, I love my bow legs. Add that beautiful bow, and now we're gonna take this plastic eggs and we're gonna cover them in twine. And I'm struggling to close that one. And as you can see, we just attach the first part, then we go around of that, adding a little bit of hot glue here and there, and just wrapping around like this. And if you struggle with it, or if it's moving, just add a little bit more hot glue and continue wrapping it. And then when you reach the bottom or the top of the egg, we're gonna start adding more and more hot glue, because as you can see, it gets narrow on the top. So we have to add hot glue so that twine just stays there. So we're just gonna continue adding our hot glue like this until we cover all of that beautiful egg. It's beautiful now that it has twine, right? So we're just gonna cover our egg like this, and as you can see, I'm adding more and more of that hot glue to make that twine stay. Now we cut the excess and we glue it, and that's it. Now, cut the excess twine and glue that to your egg's frame. As you can see, mine broke, but I think that adds character to the frame. And now I'm going to add one of these copper eggs that I painted, and that's it. We have a beautiful eggs frame. So cute. Here we have the beautiful signs, and as you can see, we have the eggs and the bunny sign, and they are so super cute. Let me know what you think.
DIY number 9.
Let's make a cute fence, and you'll find the measurements for this ones in the description box down below so you can make your own. And as you can see, I have 2 complete stir sticks over here without the handle, and I'm just placing them apart from each other just to add the side sticks. And I have 4 with the handle and 3 that I cut in a 45-degree angle like this, like pointy part. And now I'm gonna add hot glue, and we're gonna start adding those or gluing those sticks. And as you can see, I'm using the 3rd stir stick to level my pieces of wood. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna glue them like this really nicely and just stick them like that. Just like this. We're gonna glue them, all of them, I'm using Gorilla glue sticks. I just love that because that won't become undone. Never ever. I have tried this before, and that lasts a lifetime. Now I'm gonna add some of that glue to the bottom of those sticks, and we're gonna glue those sticks to the longer stir stick like this. After it's dry, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring Snow White from Apple Barrel, and I'm gonna give it like a dry brush, but a heavier dry brush. Let me show you. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give it a good heavy dry brush because I want to see the wood color beneath, but I want it to look white. I think you can see because I know I'm not making any sense. So we're gonna paint it like that all around all of our sticks, and also the bottom part of our fence like this. We're gonna continue painting until we have all of that nicely painted or dry brushed. And then we're gonna let it dry. While that's drying, we're gonna paint the letters HOP like hop using black acrylic paint. Just like this, we paint all of them, let them dry really nicely, and then we're gonna take 3 wooden slices and a piece of paper, and we're gonna cut that paper in circles. I'm using just a cap that I had. Now I'm gonna cut them. I'm gonna use the glue stick because I don't want any bubbles or anything. So I'm gonna add that glue stick, and I'm gonna glue that to the base or top of our wood round. Now I'm gonna glue the letter, and we're gonna repeat that with all of them. As you can see, I have my fence over here, and I have these beads and a string that I attached to one of the corners. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start attaching or adding some of those beads, and I'm starting with the green one and then a neutral one, and then I'm gonna go back to green and neutral, and I'm gonna follow that pattern all around until I get to the 2nd handle stir stick, just like this. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my H, and I'm gonna flip it over, add some hot glue, and glue the string to that wooden piece like this. Then I'm gonna add a little bit more hot glue on the top of that, and then I'm gonna grab a neutral, a green, and a neutral bead, and then we're gonna repeat that with the O like this. We're just gonna repeat that with the O. And I'm gonna add glue to the back of the wood round, glue the string, more glue like this, and a neutral, a green, and a neutral bead. We repeat that with the P, like this. And then we're gonna add the 12 beads that we added in the beginning to the other side. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tie this over here, and I just figured out it will be easier to do it this way. And that's it. We have a beautiful garland. Here we have the beautiful fence with its cute garland, and it says hop. Now I'm gonna tell you a little bit more why this says hop.
DIY number 10.
Let's start by making a beautiful set of kitchen towels, and I'm using these ones that I found at Walmart, and I made this iron-on my Cricut. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna weed that piece that was there, and then I'm gonna take it and bring this parchment paper and my iron, and I'm gonna leave it 30 seconds on each side or place that I placed my iron, so that sticks really nicely to my kitchen towel. And I'm gonna repeat that all around like this, so we get a beautiful iron-on towel. We're gonna continue just pressing down our iron, and look at that, looking so cute. Now I'm gonna give it a little bit more so I can remove that plastic, and now we're gonna repeat it with the other side or other towel. And we're gonna just iron it really nicely, 30 seconds on each side that we press our iron. And then we're gonna remove that, and look at that, so beautiful. Let me show you. Here we have one of them, and it says be happy, and here's the other one with the B. Let me know what you think about them in the comments below.
DIY number 11.
First, I'm gonna take this mason jar that I got from Walmart and some Waverly white chalk paint, and I'm gonna paint the inside of the jar like this using that Waverly white chalk paint. I'm in love, and as you know me, with chalk paint. Now I'm gonna take the silver color, and I'm gonna paint the lid of that mason jar really nicely, just like this, so we have a lid. Then I'm gonna take black paint and another paintbrush, of course, and we're gonna paint all of those borders like this, so we can make them pop a little bit more. I'm gonna cover all of those borders really nicely. Try not to get on the outside border on the inside color. We're gonna continue doing that until we have covered all of those borders, and then we're gonna bring back the white, and we're gonna paint that outer border of our jar. Just like that, we're gonna cover all of that really nicely, and then we're gonna let it dry. And you know me, I don't like things drying. That time just drives me crazy. But I have a heat gun that I won't show here, but I have it. And I'm gonna make that dry. Now I'm gonna take this decal that I made on my Cricut, and I'm gonna stick it over here like this. And I'm just trying to be really careful because I don't want to lift the paint of my mason jar. Now, after I do this really carefully, I'm gonna start just peeling off the transfer tape really slowly so we don't get that paint like lifting. That's why I'm taking all the time in this world to lift that transfer tape. But after I remove that, we're gonna move on to adding another beautiful decal. But first, let me take the time in the world to just guarantee that I get my decal on, but I do not get the paint off. Now that we have it, let's move on to adding those lemon slices that you see here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use them on the corners of my mason jar. Let me show you what we're gonna do with them. Like this. I'm gonna add one here and the other one on the other corner. And as you can see, I'm also going slowly because I don't want to lose or damage that paint. After that, I'm gonna peel off my transfer tape and add the other one on the top like this. And then I'm gonna grab it and put it over there and then remove the transfer tape like this. And then we will have the most beautiful jar. You can leave it like this, or you can take it up a notch and add a little bit of twine. I'm using this one from Walmart, and I'm gonna tie it in the back just like this and remove that tab on the top of the jar. Then I'm gonna take some ribbon and I'm gonna make a bow, a cute bow, and I'm gonna tie it in the middle with a little bit more twine. Then I'm gonna add a little bit of hot glue after I dovetail those beautiful legs. And then I'm gonna add hot glue and just glue it over here. And here you can see it. Isn't this the most beautiful mason jar ever? I'm in love with it. Let me know in the comments below what do you think about this cutie. And this
DIY number 12.
number 1, and for that I'm gonna use this wooden circles or wood rounds that I got from Amazon, and also I'm gonna use some of this Gorilla wood glue to glue them together, and I'm just adding a little bit of that glue over here and flipping them over because I'm gluing 2 of them as they are really thin and I wanted them to be a little bit thicker. Now I'm gonna use these clamps to clamp them together like this and let it dry. Now that it is dry, I'm gonna take my white Waverly chalk paint and I'm gonna paint it, giving it one light coat so we can see some of that wood grain showing through our paint. We're gonna paint it completely and then we're gonna let it dry. Then I'm gonna take this decal I made on my Cricut and then I'm gonna add that decal to my wood round like that. It was a little bit of a struggle as always because you have to measure the sides so it gets in the middle really nicely. Then I'm just gonna stick it really nice and remove that transfer tape from my decal slowly because it can damage your work. So I'm gonna remove it slowly. And then we will have a beautiful lemon slice. Into that lemon slice, I'm going to take this hanger, metal one, and I'm going to cut that straight part that you see in the bottom using some wire cutters or pliers. And that part, I'm going to bend it in half and cut it again so we can make 2 handles. And as you can see, I'm just making them like a semicircle like that. And now I'm gonna take my drill and I'm gonna make 2 holes. First, I'm gonna mark them using a pen. And I'm gonna make 2 holes for that handle to go in. Let me show you. I'm marking them like this, and now I'm gonna take my drill and I'm gonna drill those 2 holes like that. And then we're gonna take our wire after we make the 4 holes. We're gonna take our wire, and with that wire we're gonna make our handles like this. Now I'm gonna take some of these beads and I'm gonna use the larger ones that come on that package, and I'm gonna add them to my handle like this, and I added 8 of those to make a good sized handle but not too big. And now I'm just gonna press that wire onto my wooden circle and fold those pieces to the bottom like that. I don't know, you can do something else with that, but I'm just pressing it really nicely to my table, and this is it. Now let me show you. And here we have it finished, and look at that, it's looking so beautiful. It's the perfect tray for this summer. As you can see, I styled it here with a jar of lemonade, it's water, and some lemons. Now,
DIY 13.
make a beautiful sign, and I'm using this one from Dollar Tree, and I'm gonna remove that tag or label. And after I remove that, I'm gonna remove also that twine. Then I'm gonna take some white paint, Waverly white chalk paint. I don't know what's going on with me. I can't talk today. And I'm gonna paint the back of our sign like that, covering it completely, really really nicely. And then we're gonna let it dry really, really, really well. And after that's dry, we're gonna take this decal that I made with my Cricut, and it's the same thing. We just have the lemon slices or pieces. And I'm gonna add 4 of those to our lemon slice. And you will see this one was a little bit of a struggle. But then when I figured out the placement, I just stick that to there. And then I'm gonna move on to the other 2 slices or pieces of the lemon. So we have a beautiful lemon slice. And as you can see, I didn't cut the bottom part because as you can see that had some scallop edge, and I wanted to keep that intact. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this Waverly paint. The color is lemon. And I'm gonna paint that border like this, and it's the exact same color as the vinyl. So I'm just gonna paint it really nicely all around. So we have a beautiful lemon slice half. And I'm just gonna paint it completely like that. And then when we finish with that, we're gonna let it dry, and we're gonna make a beautiful bow using this ribbon that I got from Amazon. And I got that one from eBay. And it is a buffalo check, and I'm cutting 6 pieces the same size. And then I'm gonna dovetail those pieces, pieces of ribbon. And I'm gonna dovetail them like that so we can make a beautiful funky same color bow. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start assembling it like this, going one way and then the other way and then one way and then the other way until we have all of our 6 pieces over there. When we have all of them together like that, I'm gonna take a zip tie and I'm just gonna tie it, and this was a struggle. But then I tied it like that, and then we're gonna start the fun part, and it is fluffing our bow. So fluff, fluff, fluff. Put those tails to the bottom like that. And then we're gonna bring back our beautiful sign after I finish with this. We're gonna bring back our beautiful sign so we can make it a beautiful handle for it. And for that, I'm taking the twine that it brought like this, and I'm doing 2 knots so it's stable. Now I'm gonna cut the excess, and I'm gonna bring back the beads, and I'm gonna use ones that are a little bit smaller, and the size that goes below that one, it's smaller than that one. And I'm just gonna start adding them, and our pattern will be, after I do this to make it a needle, 3 small ones, one bigger one bigger one, and 3 smaller ones. Let me just show you because that was a little bit of a struggle. So I'm gonna add them like this, and that's our pattern. I'm gonna continue adding our beads until I have finished and I have reached the length that I want, and then I'm gonna make a knot and another knot and cut the excess, and then I'm gonna bring back that beautiful bow, cut the zip tie, add lots of hot glue, and get burned in the process. And I'm just gonna glue that really nicely like this. Then I'm gonna fluff, fluff, fluff again. And that's it. Let me show you. Here you have it, and you can see it, and this sign is just beautiful. I got burned gluing that bow, but it doesn't matter because this one is my favorite. Let me know what
DIY 14. Beautiful pot, and for that I'm using this terracotta pot and some popsicle sticks. Now, let's just work on this. I'm gonna cut the ends of those popsicle sticks, and those are the jumbo ones, but not the super jumbo. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna measure them like this so I can add a little bit of hot glue or a lot, but let me just get this hot. And then I'm gonna start sticking them to the sides of my pot like that because I want a tall pot to make it look beautiful, like a apple crate or apple basket, something like that. So now we're gonna continue just adding them like this. And as you can see, I'm leaving a space in between them because the pot gets wider on the top and smaller in the bottom, and that will look beautiful on our basket.
So I'm going to continue adding them, cutting the ends, adding a little bit of hot glue and gluing them to the pot. Now, we're going to glue the last one, and this is how it's looking. We're going to take our canning, and I'm going to start adding it like this. And I tried with hot glue, but the pot is too thin in the bottom, so it won't stick. And I tried a couple of times. But then I discovered that I can use my stapler, the small one, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna staple them like this, and then I'm gonna add that to my pot like this. Then I'm gonna staple and just add it like that. Add a little bit of hot glue over here, and then I'm gonna make the same string or loop or round thingy to the top, and then I'm gonna start just stapling it, but this stapler won't work, so I'm gonna take my big stapler and I'm gonna staple it like that. And this is it. Now let me show you. Here you can see it, and it's looking so beautiful. You can fill it with apples or with pumpkins. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this one, because I love it. DIY 15. Take this wood round, some wire and canning, and also this dowel, and we're gonna make a beautiful pumpkin with our drill. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that drill and I'm gonna drill a hole in the middle of the size of the dowel. And after I drill that, I'm gonna drill a couple of holes, one on the top, one on the bottom, and on the sides. So we have all of our holes so we can just make our pumpkin. Now let's make those holes, and then we're gonna take our dowel and we're gonna glue it in the middle like this. Then I'm gonna take the canning and I'm gonna measure it. Then I'm gonna cut it like that. And I'm gonna cut 4 of those, and then I'm gonna make holes with a hole puncher, and I'm just gonna staple them down like this, 4 of them in between our holes. Then we're gonna take those smaller holes and we're gonna add some wire, and I'm just twisting it like this so we can get our wire around our wood round. Now I'm gonna measure it and cut and repeat that all around. Then I'm gonna take beads on 3 different sizes, and I'm gonna start my pattern, and that will be 1 small bead, 1 medium, 1 large, 1 medium, 1 small, and we repeat that pattern starting with our smaller one. Then we're gonna go all around. We're gonna make our pattern, go over, fill that, and then we repeated that pattern 3 times on each strand. Then I'm gonna repeat that on all of my wire strands. Now what I'm doing is I'm just measuring it, and now I will go on and make them. Then I'm gonna cut that wood dowel with that, and then I'm gonna start putting my pieces of canning first like this, push it down, and then I'm gonna start wrapping my wire around the dowel like that so we can start making our pumpkin. We're gonna wrap around just like this all around our stem. Then we're gonna cut the excess stem, and then we're gonna use that piece of dowel to make a springy thingy with one of our wires. Then I'm gonna cut the excess stem, as I said, and I'm gonna add this leaf from a pumpkin from Dollar Tree. It's a sign, and I'm gonna add that. Then I'm gonna play with my springy thingies, and that's it. Now let me show you. Here it is, and I'm loving this one. But let me know in the comments below what you think about this pumpkin, because this one is my favorite so far. If you want to buy me some crafting supplies, you will find this link in the description box down below. You don't have to do that. You can support your favorite creator by watching, sharing, and liking their videos. But if you want to buy me crafting supplies, this link, you will find it in the description box down below, and you will get a shout out in my channel. DIY 16. And we're going to take this frame that you see here, and we're going to take it apart like that. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean that glass and cut, this is the water slide paper, and I'm gonna cut those skeletons. And for that, I'm just gonna mark it with my pen like this. Then I'm gonna cut them so I can get them in the water. Let me cut them, let me add them to the water, and I'm pressing them down just to make sure that they won't curl on it themselves. Now I'm just gonna add it like this to the glass, and then I'm gonna work it like that because I added water to my glass so I can move it and slide it until I have reached the placement that I want. Then I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna take a paper towel, clean it, and we're gonna start assembling it. And now we have our glass, our frame, and we're gonna assemble our glass. Then I'm gonna add that paper that I printed out, and then I'm gonna close it, and here it is. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this one because I'm loving it also. I think it looks beautiful. DIY 17. You saw in the title and the thumbnail, I'm working on my tier tray and I got inspired by this one from Grandin Road. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get this bowl from Walmart, or you can get one from Dollar Tree, and I'm gonna use this paper clip binder, I think that's the name, and this wood round, and also this cauldron that I got from the thrift store, but you can get one on Dollar Tree or Walmart. I'm also using a dowel, and you can use a plunger from Dollar Tree, and my drill with a 1-inch spade bit. Spade bit. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make holes like this in the center of all of my pieces, just like that, because we need a center hole to make our beautiful tray. The first thing, as you can see, I just made that hole in all of them, and then after I have all of that, I'm gonna remove that from my paper clip thingy. Well, I'm gonna remove the paper clip. And now I'm just prying that with my pliers, just like that. It wasn't that easy, but it is not as complicated as it looks. But I'm just gonna remove that, and then after I have that removed, wait for it. After I have that removed, we're gonna paint them. But first, let me show you how we're assembling this. The bowl goes first, then I'm gonna place the wood round, and then I place the flour and the other cauldron, Now I'm gonna cut my dowel in a 45-degree angle, and the length is to your liking. Let me just cut this, and now we have it. I sanded it, and now I'm showing you that the plate goes in the bottom. Now I'm gonna take the cauldron, the circle, and the flour, and I'm gonna paint it with flat black from Harris Paint. All taking my wood round, and I'm using some packing tape because I couldn't find my masking tape, but packing tape worked beautifully. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a crisscross pattern. As you can see, I'm using my tape to measure, and here we have it in plaster from Waverly. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna paint the squares that we have in between our packing tape. As you can see, I'm just pressing it down to make sure it is stuck to the wood circle. Now the most awesome part is removing it, and look at that, it looks beautiful, so it works. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a paintbrush, and I'm gonna paint the squares in between our already painted squares, just like this, so we can make a checkered pattern. I think that's the name for that one. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna repeat that all around my wooden circle or my wood round, and in the description box down below you're gonna find the link to my Amazon front store so you can go and check this ones out. Now as I finished, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my flower thingy, and I'm gonna use pumpkin from Waverly, and I'm gonna give it 2 coats of that to that flower. I painted it black just to make sure that we didn't have the issue with the flower thingy that it had. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go all around, let it dry, and then I will come back and give it a second coat so we have a beautiful orange thingy flower. Now I'm taking the bowl and my wood round, and I'm gonna add lots of hot glue to that bowl over here, all around just like that, and then I'm gonna glue that plate or wood round to the top. Then I'm gonna take this broom that I have, but you can use raffia from Dollar Tree. I just have this one from Walmart and I wanted to use it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna measure it like that. Then I'm gonna cut pieces of that broom and it was a little bit hard. So you can use raffia. But I'm just going to cut pieces of that, and then I'm going to add lots of hot glue to the side. Just let me show you. Lots of hot glue over there in between the wood round and the bowl. And I'm going to start applying that to that hot glue all around our bowl. Just like this. And if you need to come back and add more, you just add more hot glue on top of that straw thingy. And you add more. Then when you apply that, what you do is you just trim the excess on the bottom. And after you have finished and covered all of that, this is how it looks. Now I'm going to take that cauldron, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover that top. For that, I'm just using this green poster board that I had at home, but you can find them at Dollar Tree. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure my cauldron, and then I'm going to cut a circle. Yes, let's just make that circle with a pen like that, and then we go around with our scissors. And as I always say, move your scissors, not your paper. It makes it easier to cut that way. And after we cut that, we are going to apply lots of hot glue to the border or rim of our cauldron like that. Then we're going to cut a hole like this, just making a cross. And that's it. Now we're using our dowel to make sure that that hole fits and it's perfect. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these foam balls and I'm on those and I'm going to apply them to the cauldron. But the bigger ones, I'm going to cut it in half just like this so we can have smaller bubbles because these are bubbles. And as you can see, I'm applying those 4 over there, and now I'm going to start adding the smaller ones in between our 4 bigger ones. We're going to go around adding and adding and adding more foam balls all around until we have filled almost all of the top of our cauldron. We're going to continue doing that, a little bit of hot glue. Keep going until you have filled almost everything. Then when we finish with that, we're going to paint it using this lime color from Waverly. And we're going to paint all of those bubbles all around. And we're going to also paint the bottom so it looks more like those bubbles, because those are the bubbles from our cauldron. Now I'm taking this vase filler from Dollar Tree and I'm just gluing a couple of them here and there, and that's it. Now I'm going to take some black paint and I'm going to go around our bubbles in the borders so we can make sure that this looks like part of our cauldron and not just a piece of poster board that we added there. So we're gonna just go around covering that part like that, and then when we finish with that, we're gonna let this dry completely so we can assemble our beautiful tray. As you can see, we're finishing. Now for our flower thingy, we're gonna give it a good polka dot pattern in the border or a rim of polka dots. And I'm using a dowel to make them, and as you can see, I'm going petal by petal and then going in between those circles. That's the best way to make a beautiful polka dot pattern. And we're gonna go around just like that until we have covered all of that border. We don't have to go to the inside because we're gonna glue our cauldron over there. As you can see, I'm adding my dowel to the middle of my wood round that it has the bowl in the bottom like that, just to let it dry, and add a little bit of hot glue to the bottom of that dowel also. And now I'm taking that washer set, as you can see, and I'm cutting one of them and I'm gonna glue it here so we can hold the polka dot beautiful flower that we made. And I'm just gluing it there, and now I'm gonna just bring down my polka dot thingy and I'm gonna add hot glue around just like this so we can make sure that it is secured. Then I'm gonna take my cauldron after I glue it in the bottom, and I'm gonna glue that cauldron in the top of that dowel. Here you can see it on the side just like that, and now I'm gonna add lots of hot glue over here so we can glue our cauldron on top of that. And now I'm gonna bring that cauldron, and as you can see, we just glued that down. And here you can see it. And this is how it turned out. You can stop here because it is looking beautiful. But I'm gonna add a decal on that cauldron just to make it a little bit cuter.
Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start working on the decor for this beautiful tier tray. But let me know what you think about this one in the comments below, because I think it looks a lot more beautiful than the Grandin Road one. But let me know what you think. DIY 18. I'm gonna make a gnome and using a pumpkin and some of this felt. As you can see, I have black, red, green, and purple because I haven't decided the ones that I want to use. But I will be using the black one first. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure my pumpkin with that felt to make sure it's enough. Then I'm going to take this faux fur and I'm going to cut a triangle, but you will see that I made another triangle because this one turned out to be too trimmed. But this is the best way to cut this faux fur, because you won't be cutting the fabric or the hairs of it. You will only be cutting the back part or the fabric that holds that fur together. So we cut that really well. And then as you can see, we didn't cut the hairs. Now I'm going to take the felt and I'm going to start wrapping my pumpkin around like this. But first I had to remove that sticker. But as you can see, I'm just covering my pumpkin with this felt. This was an old pumpkin that I had and it was really damaged because my son loves to break them. But as you can see, I'm covering it with the felt. Now I'm going to add this wood round that I have left over from another project so we can stand. And now I'm going to cover the top of that, but I'm trimming the top a little bit just to make sure we don't have a bulky piece over there. Now I'm just gluing it with my hot glue like that. And then after we finish with that, we're going to start attaching our beard. But as you can see, it's too trimmed. Yeah, I went with the haircut and it wasn't the right thing to do. But now, before I fix that, I'm going to cut the arms. And I'm just using a leftover piece of felt. Now I'm trying to wrap it around. You cannot see it because I was struggling with that one. But then I discovered that if you wrap it like this, it's easier and you can have an arm. Now I've made 2 of those and I removed the beard and I'm going to attach a new beard like this because this one looks like more like a beard. And now I'm going to take my arms and some beads and I'm going to add beads to one of the ends to make the hands just like this. And I'm going to repeat that on both of them. Then I'm going to attach those arms to my gnome by going to the side and just gluing them like this to the sides. And then I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue to the inner part. I was thinking about that, and of the inner part of the hand, so it is really glued to that gnome. Then I'm going to take this felt and I'm going to start making a cone with that. As you can see, this one is a little bit of a struggle because you have to figure it out first. And I was crafting as I go. But then I discovered that if you wrap it like this, it's easier. And then I cut the excess like that and went over with my glue again so I can make sure that it is all glued together. Then I cut it and I was measuring it to be sure that it fits. Now I'm going to take another piece of felt and I'm going to make a circle with it. And now I'm measuring my gnome to make a square first. And then I'm going to start cutting a circle. I'm sorry, I'm out of frame. I don't know what was happening with my camera. But I'm just cutting a circle out of that felt. Then I'm going to cut some notches in the middle like that. And it is the crisscross notches. And then I'm just going to fit that in the hair, head, not hair, of my gnome. Then I'm going to add hot glue and glue it like that. And then we're going to take the cone that we made, add hot glue and glue it to that piece that we made. That's the brim, I think, of the hat. And we're going to make sure that it is glued. That's why I'm just pushing it. Then we're going to take this part and we're going to fold it, add a little bit of hot glue, fold it really well like that, and let it dry. Then we're going to take a spider and it is a ring. I removed that and I'm gluing that to the tip over there. Now that we have all of that together, we're going to cut a strip of green felt, and I decided green. You can use any color you want, and wrap it around our hat. Then I'm taking this piece, and it is a cutout that I made on my Cricut, and a half bead, and I added that half bead as his nose. And that's it for our beautiful gnome. Let me show you. Here you can see it, and it is so cute. It is the wizard, a warlock gnome. Let me know what you think in the comments below. DIY 19.
We're gonna make candles, yeah, with this. 2 pieces of dowels and 2 handles from stir sticks. And the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sand those sides, both of them. And I'm also gonna sand the bottom part of the handle that I cut it previously. And then after that, I'm gonna take my Dremel or tool and I'm gonna make a hole in the top of my dowel like this. I'm just drilling a hole like that so I can get a wick a little bit later. Now I'm repeating the same steps on the other dowel. And then we're gonna move on to making our candles. And for that, I'm using hot glue to create the drips, those wax drips. And I'm just using hot glue and I'm gonna pile it up on top of each other. And as you can see, I'm just playing around with them so I get the drips that I want. And I'm just adding a little bit more here and there, adding more just to make it like it has a couple of layers of dripping, or we just lit our candles a couple of times. Now I'm adding a little bit of that hot glue in the top to make it look like a burnt candle. And like that, I'm gonna keep on adding until I have reached the shape that I want. And I'm gonna repeat the same to the other one like that. Then I'm gonna take my candles when they are dry. I'm adding a little bit of extra touches because I told you I'm extra. So I'm adding a little bit more, let that dry, and then I'm gonna come back with cashew from Waverly and I'm gonna paint them completely with that cashew chalk paint. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give it a good coat like this, and we're gonna paint it all over, just making sure that we paint that hot glue that we have on the top because it's a little bit hard sometimes to get it painted. But chalk paint always does the trick. So go ahead and give it a good coat, paint it completely, paint both of them if you're making 2, and let it dry. Then we're going to take our dried candles and we're going to bring our white chalk paint from Waverly and we're going to give it a good dry brush all around. And let me show you, I'm using the oldest brush that I have to give that dry brush because I couldn't find my new one. So I'm going to give it a good dry brush on the glue or wax drips. And I'm going to give a good dry brush to the candle itself like this so we can cover it completely and it looks beautiful like an actual candle. So I'm going to do that to this one and the other one too. And we have them here, let it dry. And I'm taking this canning that I have and I'm going to cut a piece so I can roll it around my candle like this. And now I'm going to cut 2 pieces of those and I'm going to paint them in black paint. But first I'm going to cut a piece like this so we can make something cute to handle or a handle. And now I'm just gluing them like this, putting one of those clamps over there. And after that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the handle and those pieces of canning completely. And I'm painting my handles like that. Then I'm going to move on to my canning pieces like this. And I'm going to paint those. And I'm going to also paint those loops that you see on the corner over there. Let me show you these ones. We're going to paint those on the inside, outside, and sides, because we want it to look completely black. So cover it completely on that black paint really well so you have a beautiful handle. Now I'm going to take the candle And I'm going to take that piece that we're going to wrap around, and I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue over here, and then I'm going to glue that piece over there. Let me just add the hot glue. And then we're going to add hot glue all around and just roll it around. I'm sorry, I was out of frame. I didn't know. But I'm going to roll it around, add a little bit of hot glue over here, and just press it down like that. Hold it there until it dries, and then bring it back so you can assemble your candle. And for that, we're going to just hot glue the candle to the round part of the handle, like that. And then that cute handle thingy that we made, we're going to glue it on the back. Just put some clamps over there and bring one skewer so you can make a wick. And for that, I'm just cutting the skewer, and then I'm going to glue it with hot glue like this. And then we're going to make the flame. And for the flame, I'm using this stencil paper that I got from Walmart. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it like this on a leafy kind of shape like that. And then I'm going to bring some red and yellow, and I'm going to mix them together so I can make it look like a flame. So I'm adding a little bit of red, and then I'm adding lots of yellow that I'm mixing with that red, like that, to make a beautiful, well, a flame. And I'm gonna repeat that too with the other one, like that, and then I'm gonna paint the wick that it's not showing on the frame. And now that it is painted and dry, I'm gonna glue that flame to our wick, and that's it. So cute. And here you can see them together. They are looking beautiful. Let me know in the comments below what you think about those beautiful candles, because I think I'm going to make lots more.
DIY 20. We're going to make this beautiful set of bells that you can see here for 79 bucks on Pottery Barn. And I'm going to take these bells that I got from my local dollar store for $2.49. And I'm just gonna disassemble them and paint them in this crimson Waverly chalk paint. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove all of this like that, and I'm gonna struggle a little bit because this was really tight. But then I discovered where I could just bend it, and then I removed it, and now I'm gonna remove all of that twine or thingy that it has in the middle. Now we have our bells, and I'm gonna start painting them with that beautiful crimson red color. And I'm gonna do 2 coats on this beautiful bells, and then I'm gonna paint them on the inside as well. Let me just paint this like that all over, and then we're gonna let them dry really well. Now we see them, and here you have them. Now I have these decals that I made on my Cricut, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna transfer that decal over here like this. And I'm going to add 3 of those, 1 here and 1 of each side, like that. So we have beautiful snowflakes on our bell. I'm going to do this for all of our beautiful bells on different snowflakes that I made. And after I have put all of those decals, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my white chalk paint from Waverly. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start making dots all around just like this in the bottom lip of that beautiful bell. Then I'm going to come back and do more dots on the top, and I'm just showing you how I'm going to make them. Then I'm going to make triangles in the top just like this. And I'm going to finish this out of camera so I won't bore you. And here you have it. I'm gonna add this clear acrylic spray paint all around, and here you can see it. Now I have rope, and we're gonna make a rope nut for the top. This one is the medium one, it's not the smaller one, but I wanted to show you how it turned out. And now I'm just adding that beautiful rope knot in the top, and for that I'm gonna use a little bit of hot glue, and I'm gonna add hot glue over here, add that knot, and just start pushing it down so we get it glued. And now I'm gonna do the big bell, and I'm gonna do the same thing just like that. Add that knot on the top, play around with it so it sticks, and that's it. Let me show you. And here you can see all of them together and they look so beautiful. And the best part is I spent only $2.49. DIY 21. Oh, well, not so beautiful. We're gonna make a tray using Creative Fabrica decal. A decal that I got from there. They have the images and they are so cute. Now what I'm doing is I'm just using my antique wax and I'm painting this corner, just this corner, and you will see why. Then I'm gonna take the gingerbread man that you see here, and I'm struggling a little bit because yeah, my vinyl didn't want it to work with me. But I'm gonna remove that gingerbread man and I'm gonna add it over here, and we will use it as a reverse stencil. Yep, that's what we're doing. Now I'm gonna add all of the pieces of that gingerbread man so we can use this as the reverse stencil, and I can paint it with my white chalk paint. Words aren't my best thing today. I'm struggling with them. Now I'm just gonna remove the stencil or the decal like this, and I'm gonna remove all of the pieces so I have a beautiful gingerbread man. Then I'm gonna take crimson and I'm gonna paint all of those borders from the tray like this. We're gonna cover them completely, front, sides, and everything. Now we're gonna take the oh snap and we're gonna take that so we can transfer it to the bottom of our tray like this. We're gonna transfer it like this, making sure we have it really well centered and everything. And then we're gonna remove that transfer tape and go back to the O so we can add the oh snap because he broke a leg. Now we're gonna take that O and we're gonna transfer that one like this over here. And after that, we're gonna start assembling our beautiful tray. Now it is a beautiful tray. And for that, we're gonna use hot glue so we can glue those pieces. And I started with the corners or the sides like this. And like that, I'm gonna glue them just like that. And I'm gonna glue the other side, and then I'm gonna glue the top and the bottom, and that will be it. Let me just add a little bit of hot glue here, glue it over there, add the other side like this. And look at that, it's so cute. But we're gonna continue adding to it because yeah, it needs a lot more cuteness. I'm securing it with hot glue, and that's it for this one. Now I'm gonna take this dowel and I'm gonna cut a piece of that. And with those thingies that you see there, those were the legs for the birdhouse that I made before. I'm gonna cut that piece of dowel and I'm gonna paint it white with my white Waverly chalk paint. Then I'm gonna add some tape to make it look like a candy cane, just like this. And I'm gonna roll it all around. Then I'm gonna take my crimson chalk paint and I'm just gonna paint it like this, going all around it so we can paint those candy cane thingies. Then I'm gonna remove the tape like this, and look at that, so cute. I will correct anything that just got a little bit of bleeding like that. And then I'm gonna take those legs and I'm just gonna glue them like this. Just like that, we have a beautiful rolling pin. Look at that, so cute. Now I wanna make a small bow for my tray. And I took a piece of ribbon and I'm just making my hot glue bow. And as you can see, I'm just making it and dovetailing those tails. And now those are the bow legs, and now I'm gonna tie it all together like that so I can add it to my beautiful tray. I decided that I wasn't going to add it to my rolling pin, and I was going to add it to the tray, but you will see that a little bit later. See, I'm just measuring it, and I don't like that it covers all of the candy cane thingies. So I decided to glue it over here in the corner just like this, and then I'm gonna add my rolling pin to the other side so you can see it like that. And now let me show you. And here you can see it, and this one is also one of my favorites. But let me know in the comments below what you think about this one, and remember that the link to Creative Fabrica in the description.